Welcome back. This is the From A to Z podcast, episode 11. We've been away for a while. I'm sorry about that, but we're back with another banger. Today's guest is the CCO and co-founder of Avatar, the number 100% black-owned ad agency in South Africa. I am talking to none other than Veli Ngubane. Welcome, Veli. Thank you so much for joining me on the From A to Z podcast.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for the invite.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule. Well, the name of the show is From A to Z. We're going to start right at the beginning, talk a bit about your upbringing, find out how you found the ad world, talk about what's going on now in your life and in Avatar, and we'll take it from there. Are you ready to go from ad to Z?
Sweet, let's go.
Let's do this. Let's start right in the beginning. I know you grew up in northern KwaZulu-Natal in a place called Manguzi.
Yes, Emanguze. Yes.
Please tell us a bit about that.
A very, very beautiful place at the border of Mozambique and KZN.
From A to Z, it's plain to see. This podcast is about people in my industry. Writers, designers, social media managers. Don't forget the data miners. HRPR, find out who they are and how they made it this far. From A to Z, talk about your family, talk about the goals you reach, talk about the plans you see. Let's get it.
Really a rural place with the most beautiful people. And yeah, I'm from there. That's where I'm from. That's where I was born. And through the pursuit of education, because there weren't the schools that my parents wanted to take me to there, we moved to a place called Mpangeni, where I lived in Gwelezana Township, and then attended a school there that could teach me the English that I speak now.
I see. But before we get to that, let's talk a bit about those earlier days. What was Veli as a young man? Were you more shy? Were you playful? Were you always fearless? What kind of a child were you?
I was always in my head. I always had these imaginary worlds. So I'm the only child, so I don't have brothers and sisters. So, and I think that added to my imagination because I needed to play by myself, especially, people don't understand only children. When it rains, it's a really sad day because you're literally in the house. You can't go outside and play. And I spent a lot of time in my room. I spent a lot of time imagining stuff. And I think that's what is helping me a lot, even in storytelling and advertising, because, I can create these worlds, I can create these scenarios. So you found yourself, imagine playing with two cars and this car belongs to Tabo, this car belongs to Veli, and you're like, you're kind of like racing yourself. So I guess I was very academic. I used to read a lot from a very young age. My parents taught me how to play chess at 4. So I could play chess with my uncles. I can play chess with my cousins when they were around. So yeah, very, very much a quiet kid, but in my head, I used to have these different worlds, even just driving to school. I used to imagine stuff. I used to imagine what the people are doing in those houses. And so really I was in my head. And I think I still have that child in me. I'm still in my head because that's kind of like how I do my job, create these worlds for brands.
That's dope. Now, obviously, you've always been a creative then, whether it was in your mind or outwardly. But I'd like to find out, what are some of your favorite or most memorable ads from childhood?
Oh, man. I obviously remember Yebo Gogo. That was the first really iconic ad that we all saw. And I mean, there were ads before that, I remember I had this red toy Ferrari, and there was this advert about Amagluk. So what would happen is the kid was playing and he poured Sasol in this toy car, and this toy car came alive. I don't know whether anyone remembers that ad, and it was Amagluk. So those are the earliest memories, from to your Molom Hlobams, iconic ads that we had. So Molom Hlobam is an advert that I remember quite distinctly, So those were the childhood influences. So I'd always wanted to, be in some type of entertainment. I remember I used to bug my family. There was this guy called Leslie Mashokwe, who was a TV presenter, and I used to play a TV presenter with my mom to like ask her questions, acting like I'm on TV. So I was fascinated by the world of TV. And its influence and its impact on us. We had this thing, when we grew up, we didn't have Mnet, right? And there was this promotion called Open Time, which was like almost like a just to show you, it was like this ad thing, and like,
oh, the heart when it goes off. It's like, oh.
So I used to make sure that I always get that hour in Open Time. So it's something that communication, advertising fascinated me from those days. Yeah.
I heard a little bit of a story about how the VW Jetta kind of got you very interested in marketing. What connection does a VW Jetta have in your life?
So my mom used to drive a VW Jetta. So I was a very odd kid, from a very young age. What I knew as having money or being rich, I wanted to be that, So the types of questions that I used to ask my mom were very, very different. I asked about ownership at a very, very young age. So the story about the Jetta, my mom took the Jetta for service at the local VW. And when the manager came, I asked him if he owned this place or who owns VW, and he had to explain that it's a German company. And then I proceeded to say, I think I was like 9 years old, and I said, who owns it in Germany? Who are those people? How did it come about? Why did they call it VW? And then he told me the story of Volkswagen is the people's car. And I started understanding brands to say, okay, someone names it, someone creates it, and I want to know those people, and I want to be those people. So yeah, I was a very strange kid.
No, that's dope.
Asking the weirdest questions about ownership at a very young age.
That's dope. Now, fast forward a couple of years. I know you went to Durban High School. What was that experience like? What kind of child were you in high school? And obviously prepping yourself for the next step after high school. What was your mind state there?
Well, very different. We are the generation that grew up in these two economies, So imagine waking up in Ngwelezane Township and going to the burbs, And that's why I've never really sought for any confirmation or any any recognition in terms of people saying, oh, you're from here, you're from there. Because imagine this, I wasn't accepted in the township because I was this coconut kid that goes to a white school. And then you get to a white school and then you're not recognized there because you're this kid from the township. Yeah. So you're almost like in this weird no man's land. So it's either you choose to crumble because you're not accepted anywhere, or you actually develop a very strong character, so where people's opinions don't matter. And paving your own way, doing it, dancing to the beat of your own drum, your own drum. Yes. And that's been it, because I wasn't accepted in the white school because I was this township kid. I wasn't accepted back at Ekasi because now I'm a cheese boy. Mm-hmm. So you have to now create your own identity, and that identity becomes yours. And that's why I've kind of like found my own way, So it was learning these new cultures where we are taught a certain way. Coming from a Zulu traditional household, you are taught certain things, right? And then you go to a white school. Now you've got white friends. Now they've got Western influence on you. Now you see kids shouting at their mom, and you're like, what?
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, oh.
And you're like, no, mom.
Imagine taking it home and trying that at home. Go try that at home, Zobona.
Don't try that at home. So I needed to balance out. I needed to make sure that I learn as much from those people. I take what is good from how they brought up, and it just gave me the sense to dream, because especially in a boys' school, it's very target driven. You want to play first team. You want to be head boy. You want to be prefect. So it taught me a lot about goal setting. Where you start off and you want to be something and you end up being something and achieving that. So just getting that drive going is something that was really good for me. So DHS was amazing because I was also in boarding school there. So I had the freedom to become myself. Yes. I had the freedom to make friends. I wasn't in this shelter that was around my mom. I grew up with a single parent. I finally started finding my feet and finding who I am, So yeah, that was wonderful. I did drama, played rugby, played basketball, still very academic at that point because, I come from a very academic family. There's professors, there's PhDs. Okay. I'm probably the least educated. I'm like the black sheep.
But you're killing it though. You're killing it though. Black sheep are killing it.
With because they even thought I was drawing pictures in lama adverts, so then you come from a family of professors and you do marketing, and that's why I actually did law before I did marketing, because they're like no.
I was going to get into that, really. Yes. So after DHS, right? Fast forward into your decision or your strategy, let me call it that, of studying at UCT. You studied political science or social science. I want to make sure I get that right. And then subsequently you went to Red and Yellow, where you got a qualification in marketing. So obviously it looks like a very smart strategy. You knew you were going to put this together and put it with that and do kind of what you're doing today. Am I on the right track?
Well, yeah, it worked out, so I went to UCT. And I studied BSOC Sci in politics, law, and economics. And if you think about it, law, politics, economics, and the psychology courses that I did, they're a perfect match because you're dealing with socio-economic issues, you're dealing with political issues, you're dealing with the psychology of the consumer. And obviously, when you run a business like me, it's always good to understand the legal framework and the basics of law, especially as you go through contracts and stuff like that. So, so UCT, I wanted to go to the furthest place away from my family, which was UCT. And really, I liked the freedom that I had at DHS, and I wanted to be in a place where I can grow as myself, as I say, my family is a very prominent academic family. So, you don't want to be in a place where you can't create your own identity. So I felt that going to UCT, I would create my own identity and become my own person, which is really what made me go to UCT. And I really enjoyed that, and then I went to Red and Yellow after that. And I fell in love with advertising and marketing there.
What was the choice though to say, okay, cool? Was it right after, or was it kind of during your UCT, your time at UCT, that you said, okay, I'm going to go to Red and Yellow so that I can do this? Or was it kind of something that you did after graduating?
So I used to run an events business and a nightclub. I used to own a nightclub called Pata Lounge. So I started that nightclub, I think I was 21. And I ran it throughout university, and used to throw gigs. We used to, throw parties and call down DJs. So, I was already running a business then. And when I graduated, I found that from Monday to like Thursday, I was just idle. I bought a flat and I was living in this flat. And I just found that my Monday to Thursday, I wasn't really doing anything with my time. Because the club world, I had a Thursday student nights, and then it goes into Sunday. So those were the busy times. The weekend was busy. So, and I was in charge of the marketing side of my business, which was Pata Lounge. So, and then I thought, look, let me just study marketing because it will help me run my business better. Little did I know that I'd fall in love with the whole industry. So I'd gone in wanting more skills to run my events business at the time. And it just ended up being a love relationship with the industry. So that's how I got into the industry.
Nearly 10 years in, how does it feel? How does it feel? Nearly 10 years in, all of the risks you've taken. And I actually heard that you sold your house to help fund the beginning of Avatar. Is that true?
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. Let's talk about a bit about that.
So maybe I'll start with the last question you asked. Every day like us feels like the first day. We're still as hungry. We still work just as hard. So 10 years later, it honestly feels like I'm just beginning. It's almost like I'm warming up. The type of work that we're doing now, it's almost like we're just warming up. So for us, it's been 10 years, and we're grateful to God for that. But I'm telling you that the stuff that we're going to do in the next 10 years is much greater than the stuff that we've achieved. This seems like it's just the foundation of what we're doing. Now, the beginning of Avatar, you are correct, was a crazy moment where I sold the house that I lived in to go stay with my uncle to start Avatar. So the startup capital for Avatar was a house that we sold, you know. And it's a beautiful story of faith. It's a beautiful story of belief in something that doesn't exist, and that's what entrepreneurship is, you know. So and by that time, I don't know, you know, the full story. I'd gotten a very cushy job at another agency. I mean, we're working on BMW, we're working on Apple, we're working on Investec, and so on. And I left that business. And not only did I leave that business, I sold the house that was bringing me even rental income, and I'd cut my salary by like 70% from there to start Avatar. So I was 70% down. I had sold my income generator in the rental house that I had. And, you know, when you look back, you just think this is crazy, like why, you know, but, you know, we believed in this dream from the beginning, and we carry on to believe that, you know, and along the way, we have gotten lots of offers to be bought, you know, lots of big checks have been put in front of us.
Yeah.
But because our mission is bigger than money, because our mission is bigger than material, you know, we want to set up an agency group for Africans by Africans.
By Africans.
When we, you know, when we look back, we don't want our legacy to be money. We want our legacy to be two guys, one from Lingana, one from Fosloras, Spraigeview, that came in and really changed the industry. We want that. And that's why we didn't sell. You know, it was easier. Maybe I would probably have like a game farm somewhere in the Kruger and just living large, and you know. But our mission is for the people that are come behind us. You know, our fight is that the battles that we fight every day and the mission that we are on makes it easier for the people that come behind us, because that's really what we need to do.
Just to get on that, the new or the next step of your dream 10 years in, which is, like you said, the African Advertising Network for Africans by Africans. I saw you were actually in East Africa, Tanzania and Kenya, some of my favorite destinations actually, meeting with your fellow agency owners. Obviously there is some movement there happening in the background, and the big guys are making these plans. Do I need to get my passport sorted, go to Tanzania? Is there something happening in the African advertising sphere that we need to know about?
It's brewing, you know, it's brewing. We want to unite independent agencies across the continent. It is part of our long-term plan. We have made sure that we found strength here in South Africa. We're one of the few agencies that have offices in all three major cities. So we've got offices in Durban, we've got offices in Cape Town, and our headquarters are in Joburg. So we needed to make sure that we are strong in South Africa first. And some of the clients that we have shown interest in growing with us into the rest of the continent. So, because there's no need being there if you don't have client growth there, you know. So the trip to Tanzania, the trip to Kenya was the first step in just reaching out, you know, and exploring the opportunities that are there. And uniting African entrepreneurs, because this thing of our agencies being owned and run from France, run from England, run from New York, we need to change that. Yep. You know, we need to make sure that our united power and our united influence as African creatives and African entrepreneurs, because really this is where the future is at. You know, so why sell to a foreign agency group where we can build our own, where we can unite our own entrepreneurs in the creative space to build something significant and of lasting value and a legacy for Africans. So it's a dream of ours, and obviously that's going to take time, and we are very much at the beginning stage of that. What we wanted to do is consolidate strength, and at the moment with the fourth largest independent agency in South Africa and the largest 100% black-owned one. Mm-hmm. So that is significant. You know, we always need to have this as home, but we are reaching out. I'm traveling again to a few more African destinations to be there, you know, to be there with my brothers and sisters, to really understand what they're going through in order for us to unite as creatives in Africa.
Nah, that's dope. I think, for us, by us, Africa, let's unite, let's be creative, make dope ads, creative. Yeah. Now, Avatar employs over 100 people at this point, I'm sure, right? How does that feel? Not only, I'm sure it feels amazing, but I'm sure the responsibility that you and Zbusiso feel behind it is even greater. Because, you know, you guys help put food on people's tables. Not only do they work there, but it's a family that you're building there. How does that feel, and what does that responsibility actually feel like? And yes, you can't just sell to the big global yet, because there are people who you know who you have to look after.
Yeah. Look, it's a multiplier effect. You know, each person that we employ probably affects 3 or 4 or 5 people. You know, some of the people that work for us are breadwinners in their families. Some of the people rely on us to make sure. So that is why we have to work harder. Z and I lead from the front. You know, we have to make sure that our people are taken care of. You have to make sure that the business runs in a way. If I had to tell you that out of the 10 years, the first 8 years, we didn't declare a dividend as shareholders. So we didn't take out any money. We were living off a salary for over 8 years, right? And all that money we reinvested in the company, right? Now, for a shareholder to do that, they have to see the longer term vision of that company. Because, you know, we were growing at over 100% for 5 consecutive years, and we were making good profit, you know. But our decision to reinvest that money is now paying off, because we could survive COVID because we had reserves. Nice. You know, we could survive a lot of obstacles because we had made sure that we invested in the people, we invest in the assets that are sustainable for the company. So it's a huge responsibility. You know, whenever someone comes to the office and has bought a brand new Mercedes-Benz, I'm always scared because I'm like, yo.
Levels have to go up.
So you trust this company to buy that fancy Mercedes? So, you know, there's a lot of trust in us. But look, as an entrepreneur, it comes with the territory. It is our responsibility to run an efficient company. But also, you know, we share our responsibility with our employees. Everyone there understands. We're very open about it. You know, we're very open. We have staff meetings where we tell people where we are. We tell people where we're going. We are there when we are there when we don't win. So a lot of people are on this journey with us, you know. So that's a shared responsibility. People love being at Avatar. We've got this term called Avastars, and everyone belongs there, you know, and everyone loves being there. So it's a shared responsibility. We've got amazing people. We made the conscious choice, Z and I, to make sure that in our exco, we've got people that are much more skilled and much more intelligent than us. And those are the people that carry the business. You know, we carry the vision of the business, but those are the people that actually carry the business. We've got an amazing team behind us. And that is just a sheer privilege from God.
Let's move a bit away from work and discuss your work-life balance. I know you have a wonderful wife and baby at home. How do you make sure that you keep things intact while keeping the business intact? Because that is very important.
It's hard. It's very hard. I think entrepreneurship is the hardest on the people that are close to you. I think from an early stage, the people that are close to you have to understand that you are doing it for them as well. You know, so the sacrifices that you have, the long hours, the absence that you have from your family, coming home tired, is unavoidable because we are in the building stage of our business. So it's very hard. It's very hard for my families. I can't go back home as much as I want to be. But
you mean Emanguzi?
Emanguze,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So my mom still lives in Emanguze, and I'd like to go back more often. Even being at home, there's a lot of family time that gets taken. But what it does, it says that when you do have the time, make sure that it's quality time, and I've got a 1-year-old. Every moment that I have with him is a special moment, because I know I might not have it because I'm going to be busy probably for the rest of the week. So mornings are good. He wakes up early, so I hang out with him in the mornings. When I get time, I mean, I'm sure you've seen on social media, sometimes I'm working and I've got him on my lap.
Yeah.
But everyone around you must know the mission that you are on, and must believe and buy into the mission, because the sacrifices that we do are not only for ourselves, they're for our families, and it's important that the times that you have are special. It's important that you make time and you make a ritual, whether it's Sundays. That Sundays are for your family, and you give your family that time, and that becomes very important.
Yeah.
And obviously now with the use of technology, it's also better, because especially when I travel, now I can FaceTime my family, now I can say good night, I can say good morning, and he sees me on screen. So, but the bottom line is, you cannot be an entrepreneur if you're not willing to sacrifice something. And the people around you must understand fully what your mission is, because that mission is not only for them, it's for outside people. I'm close to some political families. They understood from a young age that my father is fighting for the freedom of this country, right? And we will sacrifice not having a father for the country to be free. Now, it's the same in entrepreneurship. My father is out there fighting to change the face of an industry. So I might lose my father, but the industry of advertising and marketing will be the better, just because my father sacrificed that time with me, and it will make it easier for other generations to come into the industry because my father has laid the foundation for that. So there's an understanding there. So it's like politics.
Yeah, the father, the businessman, and the martyr, Veli Ngubane. Amanda. Now, moving into firstly, actually, I want to know, your son Aliko, like you said, he's 1 year old, right? You have so much time to look forward to. What are some of the lessons that you look forward to teaching him, and are those rooted in Christianity? I know you're a very faithful man.
Yeah. Look, I think he, at 1 year old, has taught me more than I've taught him. His resilience. He started walking at about 9 months, and he fell a lot. He used to just, the first time he fell, we were very concerned, but by like the 100th fall, it was just like, hey, at least he's not bleeding.
Babies are durable, eh?
Yeah, they're very durable. So his resilience, and he always got up. He always got up, and he always tried, and now he can walk. And what it taught me is what business is. Business is about failing. Most of the things that we know, we started by failing, right? Talking, we started by failing. Walking, we started by failing. So it teaches me that before you reach success, you have to fail a lot of times, right? And that is the vital lesson as I see him grow, as I see him figure out stuff. It's been a beautiful journey. What do I want to teach him? Christian values are at the core of what I want to teach him. Hard work is at the core of what I want to teach him. Humility is at the core of what I want to teach him. But I also want him to have his own way. My mom let me dream. We grew up in Ngwelezane Township. I used to tell her that I want a glass building that I own and offices. My mom never discouraged me. I told her that I want to have houses everywhere in the world. I once told her that I want to have a private jet. I used to tell her all the stuff, and she used to say, go for it, So my duty as a parent is to support whatever he wants to do and make sure that I do not impose myself to say, maybe do this, and just make sure that I understand him enough to support him. Because my mom did that. My mom has never told me, but look, we don't have money. How do you think you're going to be an entrepreneur? My mom let me run businesses from her house. I used to sell jetta, you put juice in a plastic and then you put it in the fridge. I used to sell spin tops. Yeah, I used to sell a spin top. So I used to take a township food, sell it in the school, and take ama tops and bring it to the township, and we used to play ama spin top and stuff like that. So the biggest thing about parenthood, as I understand it, is that we are already predestined. God has already sent us on a mission. We were just the instruments to bring you here, and we just need to feed you and guide you until you become, until you carry on your mission. So I can't now be the one determining what your mission is, because it's already pre-installed in you. So mine is just to make sure that I support you in what you've been sent here to do.
I love hearing people talk about their families, especially successful Black men. Shows us that it's possible, right?
Yeah.
Let's get into the next segment. This one is called All Up in Your Business. All Up in Your Business.
All right.
Have no fear. I went onto your social media. Obviously, you're an avid Twitter user. You're always on Twitter. I love it. So I went and I dug up a couple of posts, a couple of pictures. I want to talk to you about it. Tell me what was happening in the picture, what you think about it. And we can just figure out what's going on. We're going all up in your business. Are you ready?
Let's rock.
Let's rock. First one, dope picture. This one is Black Steve Jobs.
I don't see. Oh yeah, I see it at the bottom. Yeah.
The picture's out. There you go. Is it? Yeah, there you go.
Uh-huh.
Black Steve Jobs. Please tell us a bit about this picture. And as usual, it's always good to credit the photographer. What was happening here? Well, who took the picture, and why do you see yourself as the Black Steve Jobs?
I actually don't know who took the picture. I'll be honest. Steve Jobs has been an inspiration to me because he changed an industry. He changed what people thought was the norm. Now, I consider myself a disruptor. I consider myself a square peg in a round hole. I consider myself an outlier of sort. And I've never been normal. And I don't think Steve Jobs felt normal from early childhood. It's always been just me and my thoughts, and me wanting to change an industry, or me wanting to change whatever I'm involved in. So I see him as a maverick, and I aspire to change an industry, and that was the tweet.
Dope,
I like the segment.
Yeah. All up in your business. Next part. This one, I don't know. I'm not sure about this, because it kind of feels like you're moving the goalpost or doing a Jedi mind trick. Do not marry creatives. This one is tweeted by you, PSA. Don't marry creatives. Yeah. And then Tepo Tumahole, who was on episode 10, he retweeted that also, and he commented, what is this about? Why shouldn't you marry creatives? I mean,
we are very different. Creatives are very different because we live in our own world, And at that particular post, I was working on an idea during lunch. I was sitting with Nicole, and I was literally writing the ideas down. And, I always try to have a piece of paper, a notepad, or something to write on, or record on my phone, because inspiration comes from everywhere. You're sitting at the restaurant and you see something, and you're like, let me just write this thing down. So creatives, by design, are very inquisitive. And then, I just said, don't marry creatives, because if you don't understand them, your life will be pretty weird, because we live for the art. I'm looking for insight. I'm looking for advertising everywhere. when I'm in the car, when I look around, I sometimes sit at weddings and just look at insights. I pick characters and I follow that character throughout the wedding. I see how he behaves. Is a Malume character. How can I develop that character? So by design, it's very weird. So if you decide to marry a creative, you marry a creative at your own risk.
See, this is why I love this segment as well, because this needed so much context. It needs so much context. Next up. This one. I hope you can see it. It's the one that says it was all a dream outside Avatar Durban.
Oh man.
That one.
Oh, man.
It was all a dream outside Avatar Durban. Obviously, that was one piece of the dream, and you obviously had to take your time, pause, and enjoy the moment. Please tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So the biggest thing about entrepreneurship is planning for something and then seeing something actually happen. Because entrepreneurship always starts with a dream. When we had nothing, we dreamt we would have offices. We dreamt that we'd have people that work for us. So everything starts from dreaming. And sometimes, and most times for us as young Black people, that dream is not even possible. To say that where you used to drive past the freeway with a taxi, you would have an office there. It's almost an impossible dream. Where you say, if you drive down Glenhove now and you look to your left, there's a building that has got your company name that is your offices. When you go to Cape Town, you've got that. So it starts with the dream, So Avatar Durban, Avatar Cape Town, Avatar Joburg, it was all in our heads at one stage. And sometimes laughable to some people when you say, we want to start a 100% Black-owned agency, and it will have offices in 3 cities, have the clients that we have, and have over 100 people working for it. A dream is something that people doubt. A dream is something that people question because they haven't seen it. So that tweet was saying it manifested. That's what it is now. It's real, So I always step back, I step back. I thank God when I walk into my offices, I always look around and I'm saying this all started with that dream, So that's the context of that tweet.
It's a beautiful thing. Next one is a beautiful picture right here. Hope you can see it. Aliko's parents on a date. Beautiful picture here. I love your shirt. It's a mixture between Madiba and Ikotane. I love it. Please tell us a bit about what was going on here. Where were you and what was happening?
Yeah. So we had Nirox there. So I don't know how many people have had children or that are listening. The time after the birth, there's like 6 months of like total chaos where you are not going out, you're not going for lunch, you're like literally looking after this baby. So that was our first date after a long time of just looking after the child, because there's this desire to just stay with the child. So that's the first time we actually left Aliko with the nanny and went for a proper date. So yeah, that was special.
What's your favorite part of the production process? Is it the brainstorming with the team in a closed room? Is it the actual being on set, or is it being in the production office or the cutting room floor, editing suite? Here's this picture. So this one is a picture of you on set with Ikotane. There's a kusheshe there. You're posing there, and then the next one is you saying last scene, making TV. Next one is So what's your favorite part of the process?
Shooting, because shooting is the perfect balance, getting the performance out. After scripting, after casting, that's when you see the dream come together. The editing part I think is the hardest part. I kind of enjoy it because then you're closer to the product. I mean, that's for an ad that we're launching on Friday that we finished last week. But I think the shooting is indescribable. You know, before that, we shot a global ad for Techno, which aired in 12 countries. And just directing and being on set and seeing the gravity and seeing your storyboard come alive is probably the most beautiful thing, because when you see the shot and you see how the shot was written and how it was storyboarded, and suddenly you have the character that you created there doing the things and reading the lines that either your team copywriters or yourself has made, is the most beautiful thing, you know. And as they take the takes and as they go through the ad, it starts having a heartbeat. You know, I remember when we heard Aliko's, my son's heartbeat for the first time. That's when I knew he was alive, you know. So the shooting part is the heartbeat, you know. That's when you know your idea is alive. That's when you feel it before it's born, you know. So the shooting definitely, yeah, and the catering is great, ne? But
the early mornings, late nights, but I mean that's the sacrifice, right?
Look, it's a big sacrifice. You know, we were chasing shots. We were making sure. I mean, call time is usually like at 5 o'clock in the morning, but that's part of the beauty. You know, hanging out with people that become your crew. You know, your whole crew. We are there creating this product, but the shoot days for me are like a highlight.
This is the final all up in your business question. Yourself and Zbusiso, your founder of Avatar. This is the one that says creatives in suits. You know it's going down when you see creatives in suits. I won't ask about too much context around where you were going there. I hope it went well. But what I want to ask is, when it's just the two of you and you're chilling as Amachita, not co-founders, not any other, as Amachita, do you guys be like, oh, I know we're doing this thing. I know we're doing it.
Not ever. I read a book about Shaka Zulu and his leadership qualities. So I think it's the 10 leadership principles according to Shaka Zulu. And one of the major principles is that you must never believe imbongi yako, your praise singer. So never believe what your praise singer says about you. And now for me, that's the same as the media. We are very ignorant to what the media says about us. You know, we never really talk about our success because we haven't even reached 5% of what we want to achieve, you know. So we never talk about say tabula or say.
Is it kind of like a purple elephant in the room? Like, let's not talk about it yet. Let's not. There's something.
No. It's because we know the dream is bigger, you know, and we know. So it's like cooking. You know, when you're chopping carrots, right, and you want to prepare this stew, you don't talk about how nice the stew is because you know you're just chopping carrots, you know. Sure. So for us, we're just starting, you know, and we don't want to be seen as having arrived because in the food analogy, we are still chopping up the ingredients. We haven't even started cooking yet, you know.
Still doing what you have to do first.
We're still what we have to do, you know, because we understand the size of the dream, you know. Until we've got offices in Shanghai, until we've got offices in New York, until we've got Nairobi, until we've got Lagos. So the dream is so big that we've only reached a fraction of it. So some might see success, we don't, because we know how long it is. So it's like running the Comrades Marathon, right? From Durban to Maritzburg. And you're in Pinetown, which is probably like 5% of the way. Just because you think you're in the lead doesn't mean you're going to win, right? When you get closer to Maritzburg, that's when you can say, I say taboo, you know, or siawina. So because of the size of the dream, it's not time to talk about our success. We are grateful for what we've achieved, but because it's part of a bigger dream, that people don't know. When you look in and you're like, oh, you've got 3 offices, you've got all these clients, you're really doing well. It's all relative to the dream. And because the size of our dream is so big, we know how much more we still need to work to achieve that dream. So we're just starting out, man.
So since you were young, you were always a dreamer, like you just mentioned. What would you say to a 17-year-old or 12-year-old or 24-year-old Veli? Just pause at any time in your life and give that young man a message. What would that be?
Yeah, man, I'd say, take it easy on yourself. I'm very hard on myself still. I'm very much about perfection. I'm very much about, even we're talking about shooting, just getting that shot. I will take that shot out of you. If I want that performance, I want it. So I think I'll just go tell them, it's okay. It's okay to have fun a bit. It's okay to relax a bit, because things are going to be fine. I'm very hard on myself. The other day I was writing an idea. I don't sleep when I have to write an idea.
Same here. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when I've got a brief that I haven't cracked, I literally don't sleep. And I'm in my study until I crack it. And I remember I SMS'd the client at 5:30. I only cracked it at 5:00. And I had to WhatsApp my client and say, I got it. And I did get it. So I'm very hard on myself. So I guess the advice I'd have for a younger me is to say, relax a bit. This is over right.
It's over right, it's over grand.
Over right. Yeah.
Sure. Any words to any aspiring creatives, aspiring directors, writers, strategists, anybody who wants to get into the advertising industry in Africa, South Africa?
We need your authentic self. We don't want someone who's trying to be like someone else. The industry is full of people trying to emulate other people. Write your own path. Bring your authentic self to the party. Don't be a me too. Don't try to be like anyone else you've seen. Bring yourself, because when I interview creatives, I don't want someone who's trying to be like someone. I want you. I want your insights. I want and no one is polished. We're still learning. I'm the chief creative officer, but I learn every day. I am still learning, so don't stop learning and just stay humble. Like our industry, especially when you start winning awards, people lose it because now, the awards make you think that you're important. Always be humble to the trade, be humble to creativity. Always be looking to learn. Open your mind. Look for insights. Look for fresh ways of doing stuff. Push the boundaries. Do stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable. Do stuff that when you present it to clients, they like sit back in their chair and they're like, I don't know, hey, should I? Is this too, So don't stay in your comfort zone, But I think above all, bring your authentic self to the party, because we need authenticity. We need your voice, not the voice that you think we want to hear,
Now, Veli, I think we discussed everything. I think we went from A to Z. We discussed where you went to school, your upbringing, how you found advertising, how you became the boss of the number 100% black-owned advertising agency, and your plans to build an advertising agency for us, by us. All of this stuff is so exciting, Veli. Anything else you want to mention to the people, and just tell them where they can find you?
Oh man, no. So thank you. Firstly, thank you for this platform. We need to build bigger platforms for a reference point. So when the young kids want to say, I want to be a creative, they can show their parents what it is and what other people have done in the space. Because the question was or creative when become a doctor,
Some accountants, some doctor.
Yeah, just come below. It was Banu who's successful. So we want to be that a reference point for the younger people that are coming. So thank you for that. My platform on Twitter, I'm only on Twitter. I can only concentrate on one. So it's at Thenduna, at THENDUNA, at Thenduna. And I share freely. I mean, you follow me, I share my travels, I share the down moments, I share all my work. I share my days there, because it might look glamorous from the outside, but there are long hours, there are bad days, and it's always good to share exactly what the industry is. So if you're interested, please follow me there. But above all, thank you for the platform. Keep on pushing, and that's what's up.
Thank you so much, Veli. Once again, this has been the From A to Z podcast, episode 11. I had Veli Ngubane from Avatar. Everybody out there, make sure you go ahead, follow, subscribe, like, share, do all those things so this thing go boom. From A to Z, we out.
From A to Z, it's plain to see. This podcast is about people in my industry. Writers, designers, social media managers. Don't forget the data miners. HRPR, find out who they are and how they made it this far. From A to Z, talk about your family, talk about the goals you reach, talk about the plans you see. Let's get it. Welcome aboard. I'm your host, Veli Ngubane, and this is the From A to Z podcast.